Oh, I
We
don't
are
want. I don't want to do the show.
You don't want to do the show? Oh,
No, I'm just.
you're here. We're here, and it's live, so
I don't believe you.
we're doing it. You don't believe me? You think it's a conspiracy?
I don't. I just don't buy it. I see the little live thing on there. I see this little. What is that? The thing from HAL from 2010, whatever. But only mine's green. So
Hmm.
it's just like I don't believe any of this shit. So, what do you want to talk about?
Well, apparently Voyager has been talking back to the Earth, and
I know, and it deserves a good bitch slap.
it does. Why?
Well, you should never talk back to your elders. I mean, we built you, you know. No,
Yeah.
that is absolutely astounding. To me, I think that has got to be more of a news like what we saw that little clip that we had playing a second ago. I mean, they just talked about it like it was like I'm saying
Not.
like a lot. I'm saying like a lot, but they talked about it for what 5 minutes, and that's it. And I just thought, like what we were discussing back in 1980, Three's Company was on, Mork and Mindy, MASH, Cheers. I mean, the world has changed so much. Was Archie Bunker still on?
I think that he was. I think that show. What was it called?
Um,
Yeah, a lot of stuff was on it. And this was even pre 1980. It launched in 77. So
yeah, yeah. And you know what's funny? They were showing. I was watching a clip of Archie Bunker talking about guns. Yeah, this is totally off topic, but it just shows you how times have changed. From when that was launched, I think it was a 1972 or 73 episode. And of course, they would be planning the, getting prepared for this launch, getting these. There were two of them that were built, Voyager 1, Voyager 2, and they were, one was shot 16 days, and then another one was shot 16 days later, to go and check out. They made the records. We'll talk about that in a sec. But Bunker said, these Archie Bunker, everybody, if they watch it now, they would go, "Oh, he's a racist, he's a bigot." And they made the show to be funny, and it was like Alex P. Keaton. It was kind of like Alex P. Keaton, where they try to make Alex P. Keaton into. Uh, he ended up being a lovable character that a lot of young guys wanted to end up being, but he was supposed to be made fun of. And with our Archie Bunker, Archie does this great bit about guns and how they should pass out guns. You want to get rid of gun violence? Pass out guns at the plane, when you board a plane, uh, and at the end of the flight, you just hand in your gun, hand in your pistol. And of course, his meathead son-in-law is there, going, "Archie, you know what I mean?" Like, it was just funny, and then you think about it. 40 years later, it's no joke. I mean, it's like back then it was done for satire, and now it is actually news where they're talking about arming teachers. So it just shows how long Voyager has been out there and how the world has changed, and how, I mean, was the Pope shot in 1980? Was it 1980 when they shot the Pope?
oh, when did they shoot the Pope? When
It was John Paul the Second,
they sh- John?
and they shot him. And anyways, I remember. So the world has just changed so much, you know.
No, he was the first attempted assassination was in 81.
In '81, when was Ronald Reagan?
Ronald Reagan, I think, was in
1980.
yeah when he took office.
Yeah, I remember. Do you remember that when the buddy stood in front of it and he posed like a pit bull?
No, he
And
Ronald Reagan was 81. So
it was 1981.
yeah, because
But
he was elected 80, but he was took office 81, and it was like right after he took office.
yeah, But do you remember when the guy jumped in front of the bullet and he did that pose he did that pose like this to get, and they said that's what he was trained to do, and
Mhm.
he took shots, and the one poor guy, he got shot in the head and ended up in a wheelchair. What was a piece of shit's name that shot Reagan?
Ooh,
Who cares? I don't want to give him any. He was a maggot, so a crazy person. And the Pope, you know what the Pope did? He forgave the guy that shot him.
well, that,
I would put him in a room and say, yeah, I remember that. They put him in a room together. I'm like, why is the Pope not strangling the shit out of him? You know? It was like, just strangle the shit out of this guy. Get a couple shots in. The guy tried to kill you. What is wrong with you? You
uh,
know?
oh,
I lost a lot of respect that day for the Pope. I was like, just beat the shit out of him. Tell him he's going to go to hell, even though there's no hell. At least freak him out. Just go, what you did, you're going to hell. You're taking the water slide. You're not going to wait in line, pal. You know, it's when I know you always say I talk too much, but I get too
I
uh,
I don't understand. Like at that point, Ronald Reagan really hadn't done much of anything in office.
I remember the big thing about Reagan was they always thought he was kind of not very bright. Remember they would always make the joke about him on Saturday, like any comic would always go, oh, well, and they would always make fun of him. And I always thought to me, again, when he was back in 1980, I was 10 years old. So to me, Reagan just seemed like a very nice man. It wasn't like today where today, if any president, either if you hate him, you hate it, like you hate the. I'm sure Reagan people hated Reagan, but as a child, I just thought Reagan was a cool, nice guy. It seemed like a very lovable guy. So, when you're looking at it as a child, right? So, of course, other people would have different opinions of him, depending how old you were. And, if you look at the history books or whatever, but I'm just going by when I was a kid, 1980, back then, what it was like and how the world has just changed and how they have, I mean, to turn those thrusters on, how they, to me, that is absolutely what we're talking about is Voyager, after 38 years of it being dormant, actually turned it back on. William Shatner came out of it, and there was a bald chick, and the whole thing, they made it turn around. And did you remember how much power? They said power wise, it was less than like it was like not even like a light bulb, like a tenth, like 1/100th of a light bulb power to turn this thing around. And I remember with the Voyager, I guess they had, or you know how like it's long at one end.
Yeah, it's 1/1 with 21 zeros over after it. I forget what the actual.
Right.
It's just
But
some
it had,
really small amount of power we got from it as far as the transmission goes to
yeah,
confirm that this actually happened.
yeah, like that. But like, so when they sent out the command to wake it back up, did they send it out like a year or 2 years ago, like, or 6 years ago or 10 years ago?
I don't think it was that long ago. I think it was more like 6 months, but still, it takes that long to get out there and get confirmation.
Yeah, that is absolutely, I don't know. That's absolutely amazing. That is absolutely amazing. And I mean, you're talking about something in space that is just, again, is there life out there? I think so. I think so.
I'm just
Yeah.
amazed they can even find something that small out there.
Yeah. well, what I like about it is what they did with that Voyager was they put the albums on it. They put the album showing where we are, showing a man and a woman, and they did tape recordings. And I think Carl Sagan's son, was it Carl Sagan's son, who said hello
I think so.
in English, of course. He said hello, hello from people from Earth. We're here to destroy you if you ever plan on attacking us. And then went from different countries to say hello. It was very nice, and they had that mounted on the side of the craft, but the long piece of the Voyager they had to keep. They had a little. I think it was like a I don't know what you call it, a pulsar engine or something to give this thing power. And it's pretty much giving off radiation, so that's why it's got that long tube, because they didn't want the radiation to seep into the electrical, and like what I mean, it's pretty fascinating what they did with this thing and the way they designed it. You got to remember, they designed this thing. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, most of the people that have designed this thing have passed on, but
Yeah.
yet this spaceship, this yeah, there it is right there. That is so cool. That's the golden disc. Do
Right.
you do
On
you
the other side is the grooves that is the recording, and this is the backside that's facing out.
Right, and you see that star looking thing? That's supposed to show where we are.
Right, because it has the encoding of the pulsars. That basically, the pulsars are unique.
Right.
They're stars that have a certain orbital pattern and a certain
Yes, that's right. That's
frequency
right.
pulsation, and
They made it that even if I found it, I could figure it out.
right, and there's like a hydrogen atom in the right hand corner, lower
Yeah.
right corner there, and then there's I forget what all this other stuff
Well, the
is.
other stuff is, do you know what the song was they had on the other side?
Isn't it Daisy?
No. Oh God, that'd be hilarious if it was. It's Chuck Berry. It's Chuck Berry, believe it or not. So that's got to be. I mean, he's pretty much immortal. I mean, to be uh could you imagine being an alien, listening to Chuck Berry, and then thinking he's a god, and they do a whole culture about everybody had to play guitar, and yeah, I know I'm an idiot, but that would be hilarious.
It's Johnny Be Good, according to Mr. Shadow Kitty in the chat.
Johnny Be Good.
Yeah.
That's by Chuck Berry, though, right? Yeah, Johnny Be Good. So,
Same song they put in Back to the Future.
Yeah. So,
ironically.
Yeah, for fuck's sakes. So, anyways, that is, to me, I just find that, why are people talking about the planet being flat? I mean, I saw Reds hang out yesterday. He was talking to this girl who, I don't want to be mean, but
go ahead. She drives me nuts, so go ahead and be mean.
I don't want to be mean to her because I just think she's got mental issues, right? So, because all the evidence Red was giving her, and she just, anytime you give somebody that much evidence, it's like you saying to me, 2 plus 2. Now let's go over this. 2. What's that equal? I go 5. You go, no, listen. And you explain to me, you got 2, you got 2, you put it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. You get 4. it makes sense. Doesn't it make sense? Like, let's go over it again. Let's go over it again. Let's go over it again. And then after a while, it's got to seep into me and say, do you want me to call you by your real name? Mr. Slick? Um, you know, uh, uh, after a while, you've got to sit there and I'm doing bunny ears. After a while, you got to sit there and look at the evidence. I mean, she was arguing about the shelf. Is it level? She couldn't answer that. Is the picture level? And I just thought the girl has mental issues.
Well, she didn't want to say yes because
Well, you have mental issues. I think if you think that the planet, and I saw there was an HBO special about it, and there were so many people coming out and saying all the pictures are from NASA. It's a lie. It's a conspiracy. We live in this dome, and this guy was selling domes of a flat Earth with Antarctica around it, and people were buying these things, and all these people are coming out of the woodwork, and I'm thinking, I don't know. I mean, like it's 2018, and we're talking about 1980. If you asked anybody on the planet back in 1980 if the planet was round, they would say, "Of course it's round. What are you, stupid?" And I'm like, but with all the technology we have today, people are just, you have people that will watch a video, I mean, there are people that will watch this and say, this is, these guys they're crazy. The Voyager is just a story. It's a legend. There are people that will not believe it. And to me, it's like, what, was I there when it happened? No. I'm taking it from the news. I'm taking it from watching it on television and documentaries I've watched about it. And people say, yes, but that's all done by somebody else.
right. But see, there's just like what Reds was saying to Debbie. He's like, I was actually there in Port. He says Reds was actually there in Port Canaveral when this rocket went up and came back down.
Right.
There were people in Port Canaveral, the same exact place where Reds went, to watch the very rocket he filmed,
Right.
and watched Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 get launched from that same place. It's not like the place has gone anywhere. It's in the same spot on the planet.
Well, wasn't there a picture? He was showing a picture of a launch, and she couldn't admit what it was. She couldn't make out what it was, and it's a launch. And I mean, again, I just think it's mental issues. I think anybody that thinks that the planet is
she said, "I don't know why you can't zoom in further." She says this camera's maximum zoomed.
Yeah, you can't zoom in any further than that, or else it'll be nothing but a blur.
Well, you can't zoom farther than that because that's the camera's reach. That's as far as the camera will zoom.
Yeah, but you could zoom in all the way. I mean, this is what I mean by just that these people don't believe anything is, even if you were to zoom in and there was a guy waving back at you, they wouldn't believe that. If you were to zoom in and have a serial number and show at the bottom of the launch the serial number and then shoot it and then say, all right, you guys think that the glass ceiling is, let's say, 40,000 feet in the air, and then we're going to take a picture of this thing exactly 45,000 feet in the air, and then we're going to zoom in and show the exact same numbers that we showed before launch, and we could do it in real time. It'll take 20 minutes or so. Don't go anywhere. Just watch. And if you were to show them that, they still wouldn't believe it, and that's where it's kind of sad. You're just sitting there going, it's entertaining. I mean, I sat there, I ate a bunch of pretzels till my stomach killed me, and then because and it was kind of sad. I just felt kind of bad for her, and I know people were yelling at her, and I'm not used to her, but I kind of felt bad for her. I just said, there's a girl, that clearly uh, fell off her skateboard when she was 12, and it's never been the same since. Just something's not working. If you think that that we're in a dome, we're what's that mean? In 100 more years, we're gonna be Neanderthals. I mean, that's the way we're going. I mean, if you cannot believe that there were men walking on the moon, uh, that's just sad. Like that to me. I mean, I saw a psychopath go up against Buzz Aldrin. Buzz is 80 years old. You got to remember he's tough as nails. He had to be. I mean, astronauts were men back then. They had to be because they were pilots. They were very strong men, and mentally they were very strong. And Buzz is an 80-year-old man, and he has some loser going up to him, going, "It's a lie. It's a lie." Like, and Buzz knocks him out. It just shows you how strong Buzz is still, at his age.
Yeah.
And yet
But
you have these psychopaths that believe that, psychopaths is the wrong word. Just I don't know what the word, like, I don't want to say dumb, but it's just something's not right, you know?
well, I look at it like you'd have to be tough to get into a tin can
Oh
built
yeah.
built by the lowest bidder and get shot off to the planet with a very real possibility you're never coming back.
Well, did you ever see the footage of uh Neil Armstrong when it looked like the spider, the lander, right? And where it would go up, and he'd have thrusters on it, and he'd be about 200 or 400 feet in the air, and all of a sudden he's losing control, and he's sideways, and then he's trying to keep it straight, and and then all of a sudden he ejects maybe 50 feet from the ground. And it just showed how incredibly tough he was, because he was sitting at his desk. uh, One of the astronauts came in and said there was an accident. They said, yeah, it happened with Neil. And Neil was just writing away at his desk like nothing had happened that day. And, it was a catastrophic failure, and it could have killed him. And yet, there's this, there he is. And that's why I think, what was sad was I Neil could have been more of an ambassador, but he just wasn't that type of guy. I think he was kind of. I know you don't follow racing or anything, but he reminds me of a Kimi Räikkönen. Says very little, doesn't really. I think he doesn't really like most people, you know. So I just think that uh, Neil just, was not the. He could have come down and did more talks, and he didn't. He just, where Buzz was more of, he was, constantly talking about it, and he was very poetic about. I remember when they stepped on the moon, he said once, this was because he's the commander. What happened was is there wasn't going to be any flipping the quarter. The commander is always the first guy to step out of the ship. If you're the commander, you're the first. So Neil Armstrong was the commander of the Apollo. What was it? 11? Was it 11 or Apollo 9?
One that landed first
Yeah,
was 11.
11. So Apollo 11. So he's the commander. He's allowed to he's allowed to be the first man to step on the moon. And he said, one false step for mankind, one. He said those famous words, but it was garbled, where he even screwed up the words. so the real transcript was, uh, something like, "I can't wait to get the fuck home." But they took that out, and they put in the one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Right? What that's what people believe he said, but he kind of screwed that up. And what uh, Buzz Aldrin did was he said something really beautiful. He called the moon uh, tranquility, something, a beautiful, silent, very poetic, what he said about it. And he said he'll never look at, I think all the astronauts come back changed because they know how fragile the Earth is. They know how, not to, wind, to have wind. I just looked out a window, and, to have atmosphere, or to have, you know, they had to bring up their own, you know, life support system. Uh, so it's just, the Earth is so fragile. It's just, we're so lucky to be on it. So, uh, yeah, all those guys come back changed, and of course he'd come back changed. I mean, I told my son today, the guy who had to do the math, there was Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Collins, right? And Collins he was the guy that was going to pick them up on the rendezvous. And I told my son that if he got the calculations wrong, uh, he would have to come home by himself and leave his buddies on the moon to eventually, die a horrible death. Uh, you know,
Apparently, we have our own flat earther in the
uh,
live.
oh, bring them on. Bring them on.
Hey, Black Sun, you want to come in? Come on, don't be shy now, Black Sun.
Don't be scared. I want to hear. I want to hear how you don't believe on this Voyager stuff. That it's a conspiracy. Please.
Space is fake. Moon landing is fake.
Yeah, but big deal. I could write that too.
You'd have to prove it to us.
I mean, you would have to. What's his name?
No thanks. Okay, Black Sun. Yeah, I've met you in Soundly's chat.
Okay, well, Black Sun.
I'm not gonna immediately time you out on my channel because it's my channel. It's not Soundly's channel. I play by my rules here. You're welcome to come in and debate it, but that's not what this show is about. So
Yeah, it's kind of sad, but the only way this guy would believe it is he would have to uh, go on one of those flights where you actually, and I don't know. I don't know what. Again, it's just, it's sad. I just find it sad.
chicken, he says, am I chicken? Am I chicken to do what? Click timeout on you? No, I'm not clicking chicken to time you out. I just don't want to. There's no purpose.
I don't understand what you mean time out.
Oh, in YouTube chats, you can time people out. That's like put them in the corner for 5 minutes so they can't talk in the chat. Like if they're, or you can hide them from the chat, which is basically ban them from your channel.
Okay.
Apparently, he thinks I have something in for him. I don't. I don't really care.
Well, we invited him in.
Yeah, we invited him in. Who's the chicken who won't actually get on air and talk? So I don't know who's the bigger chicken.
I won't. I promise not to call you an idiot. Does that help?
I don't know if it'll help or not.
Because again, I just think again, without talking to them, yeah, I just find it sad. I really do. I think I think that people watch so much. There's so many YouTube channels that there's how can you govern YouTube? They try to, but it takes one person to make a video about I saw Eddie Bravo talk about, hey, it's all fake. It's all, it's all these pictures all come from NASA. Hey, they need the money. And I'm like, do you know how many people work at NASA, dude? Do you know how many, like, don't you think there's one person out there that works at NASA and is gonna go, by the way, it's all a big lie. We all want the money, you know. There was no such thing as where it's actually a dome ceiling. It's a picture. Like remember the picture I put up of me and my son looking at the moon, and I said Red would like this.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna put down a little caption saying we could see two little men, uh, like rolling paint on a crater. You know, uh, like they're building a new crater on the moon. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how Red could talk that long to these people. It's just, but I think it's like it's gotten to the point for him. It's like a crusade. It's sad.
No, it is. And I just like Black Sun is saying Voyager or NASA is due for deceive. Somebody brought up that there was, and Christopher, I know who Christopher is, and he's being joking about it. Christopher says someone made the argument that NASA means lie in Aramaic.
Is he a flat earther?
No, Christopher's funny. He's a friend.
Well, bring him in.
Oh, Christopher, you want to come in? Oh, I don't mind if Christopher comes in. Christopher's hilarious. He's
Is he funnier than? Wait a minute. Is he funnier than me? Because I don't want competition. If he's just going to be funnier than me, and then everybody's going to think he's funnier than me, then all right, bring him in. We'll go at it. We'll have a battle of who's funnier, and whatever, Christopher, whatever you want.
let's see if I can find him here, Christopher. Okay, why did it do that, Christopher? Why can't I find you? All right, Christopher, you know how to check your YouTube messages? Because I'm going to send it to you on YouTube messages. Because for some reason I can't find you on Hangouts, so I send it to you in YouTube messages. I am not a robot, YouTube.
Yeah. So what? So he can't. Uh, so he can't get the link.
Oh, he can get the link. I just got to find a way to get it to him.
Oh well, we'll just tell him out. It's called Hangouts.google.com.
No, don't. Stop.
All right, I know I'm being a jerk. Dot flat Earth. Dot it's all fake. Dot NASA smells. Hate Red. www.hatered. Red deserves to hit pigs.
Oh, he already did that. So
Did you? It was funny when I told you when he totaled his car. I totaled mine too. But did I have a fucking party about mine? No. Should have a fundraiser for me. I want a Lamborghini.
oh, I sent you the pictures of that Ferrari. I don't
I
even
know. That's the car that I want, but I want it in red though, not black. Who wants a black Ferrari? That is so stupid.
If you're gonna buy a cop magnet, at least make it a good one.
Yeah, like I would pull up in my my Toyota Corolla and just roll down the window because I wouldn't have the and just say, by the way, your Ferrari being black is so stupid. And do you want a drag race?
Hey, Chris.
Oh wow, that guy, he looks like a cartoon character.
That's my channel art.
Oh, nobody uses their real faces on this. What are you hiding from? What is this, fucking ISIS? What's wrong with you guys,
I
man?
prefer to remain anonymous.
Hey, do these swans look sick to you? So bring in that flat Earth guy. So
yeah, bring in Black Sun.
Tell him I won't be rude to him.
Black Sun, come on.
Come on, Black Sun. Seriously, man.
Come on, don't be it's cowardly. And if I lie, if I lie, I swear to you, I will not be mean or rude to you. Okay, I'll just give my opinion. I will not call you names or anything like that. Okay, promise.
Me neither. I won't.
Yeah, none of us will.
We won't.
He's probably not even watching anymore.
Yeah, probably.
He's probably watching the moon. I bet you he masturbates in NASA videos.
Why is this saying video is unavailable? Okay, no.
If my voice sounds nasally, I'm just coming off a sore throat. And why is?
Are you Jamaican?
No, I'm American.
Oh, because you sound Jamaican.
How do I sound Jamaican?
Just the way the whole yeah man, you sounded kind of Jamaican there for a second. What the 5 people that are watching are going, the little wop's a racist pig. That's awesome. That's great.
I'm from South Carolina.
South Carolina. That's awesome.
Yep. Born and raised.
Born and raised and bred.
Yep. And good old racist backwards South Carolina.
Is it racist there?
Yeah.
Very.
Oh wow. I didn't know Carolina was. Who told me they had a timeshare there? I'm like,
no, the beach is very different.
Is it nice there?
Define nice.
It can't. The weather.
So I don't know why would. So the person said to me, they have a. I'm sure it's Carolina, where they have a timeshare, and I'm like, why would you want a timeshare in Carolina? Like, what's in Carolina? I thought.
Myrtle Beach.
Okay, well then,
That's
all right,
about it.
Myrtle Beach. Yeah.
That's about it. The beach. We've got a great beach. The best beach.
Get into Greenville in the city, it's not too bad either.
Well, yeah, Greenville's pretty good too, and Charleston is really good. Except for the traffic, nobody knows how to fucking drive there.
Nobody knows how to fucking drive in South Carolina. Period.
Yeah. Like shit, have you tried driving through smaller towns like Florence?
Me? Yeah. Yeah, I drove through South Carolina on my way to Richmond because we had relatives in Richmond. That was fun.
So what's this about Voyager 1? I got here late.
Oh no, we're done.
Oh, y'all done with that?
So we wanted to see if we get somebody in here so we make fun of them. So do you? Nothing. All right, no, show the video if you can. Pay favor, senor. I'm learning French.
That's not the language you were speaking.
That's not the language you were speaking.
Okay, the video.
I think that was Latin you were speaking, wasn't it?
Was it? I thought it was Russian.
Suka, that's Russian. That's the only word I know in Russian.
That's it? I know
Yeah,
nine. Nine? No, that's German.
That's German. Jawohl. No, wait, that's Russian. That's
I
German
know
too.
vodka.
Vodka. They're more like vodka.
Here's what use. The thrusters on NASA's Voyager 1 successfully fired up for the first time. It's giving new hope to the agency's most versatile spacecraft. Trinity Chavez reports tonight.
40 years ago, 2 Voyagers began their odyssey into space. After 37 years
So
of
that's
inactivity,
V'ger then.
engineers have
Yeah.
managed to fire up the backup thrusters of Voyager 1.
When is it
Humanity
going to become sentient, though? When does it become sentient?
None of us, when we launched 40 years ago, that anything would be working for such a wonderful long journey.
sent into space on
Oh, you gotta wait
September
300
5th,
years for sentience.
1977.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's 300 years from now. Sorry.
Two.
And we have liftoff.
The spacecraft
16
was meant to
days.
study the outer reaches of the solar system.
Sorry if I'm not very funny today. I'm just getting over a damn cold again.
That's what I mean. You sound Jamaican.
NASA to receive
Yeah, I'm getting over a cold again. It's been 2 weeks in a row that I've had a cold, then got over it, then got the cold
There,
again.
look at Shatner. There he is. Look, he's like, where's the bald chick?
and found that it's moving at more than 56,000 kilometers per hour, and it travels.
We only have two lines of defense against that: the Doctor and William Shatner.
It'll take approximately 17 hours to travel from
So that's how
NASA
long
to
it-
Voyager 1 in interstellar space. After
Well, stop it there for a second,
engineers
David.
managed to fire up the backup
Sure.
thrusters of the
If it, that what you see that long thing that at the very end of that long yeah right there.
But that's CG
where
though. That's
where the
fake.
engine is.
That's
The
fake.
engine is that far away.
Fake news. That's CGI. That's.
I know this is CGI, but
That's not the engine.
no, oh, I'm sorry, that's not the engine. The engine is over. You could see the smaller. Yeah, there.
Yeah,
That's
that's
it.
the engine. Yeah,
That's the engine.
That's the antenna they point towards. This is what's left of the support for the solar panels.
yeah.
Oh,
Now useless because it's so far away from the sun. The sun just looks like any of these other stars.
Yeah.
well, could you
How far
imagine?
away is Voyager?
2.5 miles. Can you imagine turning on and all of a sudden you would see a little like alien humping the shit out of that satellite? Wouldn't that be like the funniest thing on a planet? Just having two aliens just being jerks. Then we know that they're, we just know that they're normal.
Proof of life. They're masturbating with a satellite.
How do we know we
like,
haven't
they're
been?
just being jerks.
I had a theory one time that how do we know we haven't been visited by aliens if aliens actually evolved much smaller on a much smaller scale and they're actually microscopic to us?
Well, David Attenborough gave he said about God, I loved his answer about God. He said, what if God is like where you could grab a termite hill, take off the top layer, and look down on these termites? They wouldn't even know you're there. They're blind. And they would go along and they would feed their young and they would throw out their trash and they would, they'd be doing their own little thing. And
They masturbate.
yeah, you would just be sitting there going, that queen is a fat bitch. I mean, is that all she does? Is just
sit there all day and
just sit there and
let everybody score?
But
Black Sun,
you know what I mean?
Come on in, dude. I sent you the link in your YouTube mail, your YouTube messages. You're welcome to come in, dude.
Dark Sun,
Black Sun, Black Hole,
Sun,
whatever his
Black
name.
Hole Sun. Won't you come
Wash.
wash away the rain? Asshole Sun.
Yeah, there you go. So
Didn't he pass away?
yes, this is
That
the
sucks.
lead singer of Soundgarden.
Yeah, that's a downer.
So let's
Yeah,
continue here. It's only two. This is why we had this, because it's only 2.5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Sad.
And you usually, do you guys want to watch Taboo after this?
Taboo.
Taboo.
Forget it. You guys wouldn't know. All right, never mind. Look it up.
And guess who's on? Aaron Ra versus Jeranism.
Oh,
On the Non Sequitur show is going to be live at 7 or at 8 Eastern
That-
time.
17
They
minutes.
took our crowd.
They're gonna take our crowd, but this is a good pre-show because this is about freaking outer space. So
so what's Aaron Ra going to talk about?
I don't know. He's talking to Jeranism, who's a flat earther. So
Oh God,
Jarenet. Oh God.
yeah,
flat earther.
Flat earthers just.
NASA engineers managed to fire up the backup thrusters of the spacecraft. According to NASA, these thrusters fire in tiny pulses or puffs, lasting mere milliseconds to subtly rotate the spacecraft so that its antenna points to our planet. The Voyager team is now able to use 4 backup thrusters that haven't been used since 1980.
The transmitters on the Voyager spacecraft are slightly over 20 watts, about what your refrigerator light bulb would give off. So when the signal crosses that vast,
I don't know. My refrigerator light bulb is pretty damn strong.
is 1/10
It's bright as hell.
billionth of a watt.
yeah. I have to squint when I open my eyes for a midnight snack.
21 zeros.
Yeah,
According to NASA,
it's like looking into the gates of hell, honestly.
decades without use, we will be able to extend the life of the Voyager 1 spacecraft by 2 to 3 years. After 40 years, NASA's twin Voyager spacecrafts are
Look at the tits on her, though, eh?
sending home information about the galaxy and beyond. In New York City,
I wasn't even paying attention to that until you said something.
But that's really cool. I mean,
That's beyond cool. I mean, I don't get. There's Jay Leno, him in his garage, buying another car, showing it off. It's wonderful. Like, I've got more money than you.
it's Kit from Knight Rider. Yeah. Fuck you, Jay.
I know he's got that. He's got so much money. It's after a while. Like, I love cars, but he's like, I got this car, and then I've got.
My son actually thinks that stars are floating rocks. What?
Yeah, this just. I mean the concept of scale, the concept just spatial relation.
Okay. Think about this. What would you see if you looked off into it? Say there's flatland is. I mean, say you're in the middle of Arizona. You're in the middle of Arizona. You know, there's just all flat land basically. Say if you look 5 miles in one direction. If someone is 5 miles away, you're not going to see them. Or rather, if you did see them, they'd be so tiny that you couldn't see them. Quite literally. If you get what I'm saying. Perspective. It's about perspective.
Right.
Sorry.
Right. And they don't, that's the thing. They don't get perspective.
Yeah, they don't get perspective. Because see, you can see infinitely into space. Well, not infinitely, but very far into space with the naked eye. And most of the stars there that are out in space are dead, much like your dreams.
The brighter an object is, the further away it can be seen.
Yeah, and that means the older it is.
But isn't a pulsar a star that's dying?
Pulsar, I can't recall if that's what that is.
Like it's a star that's rated, like, you know, it'll take millions and millions and millions of years before, you know, becomes a supernova, and then it turns into a dwarf.
Dwarf star, yeah. Well, it either turns into a dwarf star or it collapses on itself and becomes a black hole.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, that's another thing that just didn't be in.
Thought to be a rapidly rotating neutron star that emits regular pulses of radio waves up to 1,000 pulses per second based upon its rotational period.
Okay.
It's called a pulsar because it's
pulsing.
So
yeah.
Makes sense. That's what I thought whenever I heard the term pulsar. I'm like, doesn't that just mean it's pulsing?
Well, I remember seeing it in my dad's telescope, and it was just he really love that sort of stuff. And he would show me all this stuff. And of course, I was a kid. It's like
I still remember my favorite constellation is Orion, and because it has Betelgeuse in in the constellation. Well, not a part of the constellation. It's near Orion.
Another movie from the 80s.
Yeah, that's the only reason I remember Beetlejuice is because it's a movie from the 80s. Awesome movie, by the way, but still.
Yeah, there were a lot of. I remember, for some reason, I dreamt of the movie Patrick Swayze was in, and not Roadhouse, but the one, because the song for some reason came on the radio, and I turned off the song. Remember that song? I Had the Time of My Life. Or
Yeah, you talk about Dirty Dancing.
That's it. That's it. And then for some reason, I was thinking about him, just going like, man, he died, and it just kind of sucks, But it just shows.
He was actually in an episode of MASH too.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
I love that show still. MASH, I still love that show to this day.
Yeah, I do too. It's and they're all, what is it? The priest has passed on. Both BJ and the one that took over, they passed on, right? So,
recently, actually, yeah.
Yeah, so they're all getting up in age, and it kind of.
I can't think of his name right now.
Father Mulcahy?
Yeah, I know Father Mulcahy, but I can't remember his. Because
there was BJ, Honeycutt, and
Charles Emerson Winchester III.
Yes. Yeah. But actually, they were.
And let's not forget Frank.
Oh, Frank.
Frank.
Frank passed away years ago. He was a big alcoholic, and it kind of sucked.
Yeah, he
really was funny, man. In that show, I'm sorry. He used to make me laugh so hard.
Me too.
God, the stuff that he would do. Remember, he used to just love Hot Lips.
Hot Lips Houlihan, yeah.
Yeah, and just, Margaret, just.
Then there's Klinger. Oh, God, yeah, Spooky Bed Hair. Just said
it was
Klinger.
Klinger. Good old Klinger. That whole show rocked. Yeah, that was it was an awesome. That show was 11 years, and the real war actually was only 3.
3, yeah.
That tells you what does that tell you? It tells you a good show.
Well, they were mixing basically the North Korean conflict with the Vietnam War at that point.
Right.
Well, no, actually, the Vietnam War was going on while they were writing the show, so they continued writing the show because of the Vietnam War.
Right, but the point of it is the Vietnam War started on the tail end of Korea, so it was apropos.
Yeah. And then the final episode where Hawkeye was in the asylum, basically, that kind of made me sad.
Hawkeye was in the asylum?
Yeah. For a good 2 episodes.
Yeah, that was how it ended. He was in the asylum because through the whole series, he was basically a conscientious objector before there were actually such a thing as conscientious objectors, because that didn't happen until Vietnam.
Yeah.
And so he was literally forced into a situation he didn't want to be in, and he was just a
PTSD.
It was basically, it was PTSD. They didn't call it that; they called it shell shock, but PTSD.
Shell shock, yeah.
Who? You talking about Hawkeye?
Yeah,
Hawkeye Pierce. Yeah.
Did he
Alan Alda's?
Did he get out?
He got out just in time to go back to see them close the mash down.
Yeah,
that's right. He was in the chopper.
Yep.
And he looked down and said goodbye.
Yeah. And that was the end of the series.
That was the end of the series.
You know what was one of the coolest, and I know we're going way off topic, but one of the coolest ones was everybody was having bad dreams. Do you remember that?
I thought it was just Hawkeye that had the bad dream about
No, he was
about his friend.
every one of them, even Winchester. He had a dream he was a magician and he was trying to save a guy's
Oh,
life.
I remember that
And he
now.
was
Yeah,
trying everything in his power to try, and do tricks and trying to save this guy. And the guy died, and he just kept the guy just this, in pain. And you would see him sweating, just trying every trick in the book to get him. It was so sad. I remember as a child
Yeah.
watching that, and then it had Hawkeye in a boat with no arms,
yeah.
and everything in the water were all arms, and he couldn't operate on people because he had no arms to help them.
That was linking back to his friend that had pushed him in the water.
Yeah,
He couldn't swim when he was a kid.
yeah, yeah. It was such a great show. And then Klinger had those legs on him.
Oh God.
God, he was funny. God, that show was so funny.
Just
Now,
those hairy legs peeking out of that skirt. Just
what was one of the sweetest episodes though? Was when that guy thought he was Jesus. Do you remember that?
well, he didn't actually think he was Jesus. He was, yeah, pretending.
Well, I thought he was Jesus because he
No,
bombed so many people that he
oh yeah, you're right. You're
mentally
right.
put it in his head that he didn't want to bomb people anymore, and he's
Yeah,
Jesus.
you're right. Yeah, he thought he was. Yeah, he really thought. Yeah, because what's his name?
Klinger went up to him at the end and asked me if he could bless the bear.
Yeah, the teddy bear, the Radar's teddy bear.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool
Yeah, that
episode.
was. Because I was thinking about the one where it was the other dude pretending that he was a major at one point, and he had been a priest at one point. He had been a lawyer at one point.
Right. Oh God, there were so many funny episodes on that show. God, they should have called this the MASH episode. There were so many bloody funny episodes. Where do you remember when they shot off the cannon and it blew?
Oh yeah,
the trumpet out of
5 o'clock Charlie.
Oh yeah, 5 o'clock
Charlie.
5 o'clock Charlie.
That's the one I remember the most because that poor dude couldn't hit anything worth shit until Frank decided to get that damn cannon, and
yeah,
because he wanted to shoot him down.
Oh yeah,
because people were betting how far away he would miss.
Do you remember when was it Frank or they were catching the games ahead of time, so they were betting everybody, and so he was always winning, and they finally caught on, and they pretended to do a whole game.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was so fucking funny. I so funny. It was such a beautiful.
It was so simple, but yet so effective.
Well, it was well written. It was so well written. I remember they did one episode where, remember the one guy, he noticed it was, Hawkeye would notice that one guy, all of his men that were always wounded were all black.
Yeah, because he sent the black people out front.
Yeah, he would always send the blacks up front to get killed. And that was actually my first encounter when you watch it on television of racism, right?
Yeah.
That's when you're a kid, you're going, what's this?
No. The funnier one, on the racism bit was that one white dude who decided to tell them, make sure you don't give me the black blood.
Yeah.
And then they started I think it was they put that shoe tan shit on his face to make him look black.
Yeah.
And then they started fried chicken and watermelon.
Yeah. Man, I mean, I again, it's just, it was so ahead of its time.
With the ring banger.
It was so funny.
That was a great episode. Was the ring banger? The dude who had that ring, he's always banging it on those things because he would send all his men up front. Remember, because he wanted to take this one hill, but his higher up said not to take it. Don't, you know, charge forward. But he did anyway.
Right.
And so they ended up getting him court-martialed.
Right. That's right. Yeah,
that was a good one too. I mean, just because that had it wasn't Leslie Nielsen, but it looked a lot like Leslie Nielsen. That dude looked like a ringer for Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah, and speaking of Leslie Nielsen, he was so fucking. He was already old when he was famous that he always looked. Remember when he did what was it? Those movies that he made with O.J. Simpson. He was already an old dude in those.
The name of it, something and a half. Naked Gun.
Naked Gun.
Naked Gun.
And he was already old in those.
Yeah. Now, someone who hasn't changed looks, George Clooney.
I know. You know what I saw the other day about like Clooney. To me, Clooney bugs me. He just,
it's like he hasn't aged a day since he was famous.
You know who's changed like to shit is what's his name? And he did like, I'm like, why is this news? Gladiator, what's his name? Russell Crowe. He went
Russell
and had
Crowe,
he had an auction to sell off all of his stuff from his divorce or whatever, and he was selling his Gladiator and remember in Commander, Master and Commander, the violin, and he made over $4 million, and he was on the news, and they were like constantly like, Good Morning America would interview him, and Australia would interview him, and I'm like, who gives a shit? like this is news. Like, well, you're seeing a rich guy, a famous guy, and he looked like shit. He looked like he put on about 50 pounds. He has a beard. He looks like Moses, and he did play Moses, and he just looks like shit. And I'm going, why? Who cares? It's like Jay Leno. It's
and one thing I couldn't stand about Russell Crowe, the only reason he got his part in Les Miserables is because of his name. He couldn't sing worth shit in that movie.
I never saw it.
You should.
Is it any good?
Now, Hugh Jackman, he was fucking perfect in that film. But
Les Miserables, but isn't that a singing?
Yeah, it's a musical.
Yeah, I hate musicals.
No, if you watch Les Miserables, I've gotten people that hate musicals watch that film, and they fell in love. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna rent it or watch it, or you don't even rent movies anymore. You just
they
just you
go on Amazon, pay $1.50 for a movie and watch it.
Yeah, or you go on Netflix and it'll be out there free,
or Hulu, or anything else that has streams movies.
We need a flat earther, guys. Like, I don't get why. Let's just say, call me Aaron Raw. Call me Aaron or Raw.
Speaking R and Raw.
Speaking of R and Raw.
It's now 8 o'clock, and I'm pretty sure we're becoming an echo chamber at this point in time.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it was fun while it lasted. We tried to get one of them. I just think, closing out, I just think that's an awesome... I don't know why people aren't talking more about that. I know
because we're so worried about who calls what Zer and Zim and pronouns and stupid shit. So, yeah.
I know. That's how sad it is. That's what I mean. Like, when I brought up Archie Bunker in the beginning, I just said there was a famous thing when he talked about guns, about how you pick up guns how you stop muggers is you hand out guns on the plane, and at the end of the flight you pick up the guns, and that's how you stop. It was hilarious. And now they're, that was back then. It was done as satire, and then now they're talking about arming teachers and.
Oh God, arming teachers. Yeah,
and
give a bunch of disgruntled people weapons, right? They're
Well,
already pissed off because they have to deal with students all day.
When I was a kid, I never even thought anything like that. So I don't know. Just
me too.
Times are getting sadder and sadder.
Yeah.
So, in closing, I wish that more people would pay more attention to what's going out on space, because I think it's a beautiful thing to know that is out there.
Yeah, me too. We should pay more attention to space.
Yeah, instead of the glass ceiling over our heads.
Exactly.
With the sun somehow being a spotlight.
Could you imagine
that glass ceiling?
Yeah. No, the sun. If there was a glass ceiling, we would.
Women would never get to it.
We would get baked.
Yeah, that too. Have you ever put a magnifying glass?
Yeah.
In the sunlight? I mean,
yeah.
Did they never think about that? Just.
Yeah, they're black hole, son. If you're out there, you've been listening to Pink Floyd on acid too much, pal.
Yeah, man.
All right, and they
come down to earth.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate it, Dave. There goes Aaron Rod taking our sunshine.
Yeah, man. Just he had to come on.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to watch it, so I'm just going to be
me neither.
I'm going to go and find chocolate. I don't know. I might look up some episodes of MASH and watch them. That's what I've been doing lately, just looking up old episodes and watching them.
Yeah, I watch sometimes I'll do that with Doctor Who.
Yeah, me too.
Original.
Yeah, that's right. Do you watch it with Tom Baker?
Oh, Tom Baker's my favorite.
Yeah, that's my favorite one too. I watch it with Tom Baker all the time.
Oh man, did you remember the newest episode? Well, not newest episode. The last, I think it was last Christmas, the one before last, where Tom Baker showed up at the very end.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Actually, got me a little teary-eyed.
Me too. Honestly.
To see him on there, there were 4 or 5 doctors on that episode.
Yeah, there were a couple of them.
But I remember seeing him.
No, all of them were on there.
Yeah, and I remember getting very teary-eyed seeing him.
Even Peter Capaldi, before he was even a doctor, showed up for a cameo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Remember when the ships were? It was so well written.
Yeah. When all the TARDISes were doing their thing.
The next doctor will be a he, she, transgender Indian woman, deaf in one ear, and pisses a lot.
Blind in one eye.
Yeah.
With an eye patch.
And Canine will be we'll have Red's voice.
A Cyberman dog.
Yeah.
It'll be a Cyberman dog.
Yeah, it's got the eye or whatever, and we'll call it Red.
Red.
All right, boys.
All right, man.
Thank you for nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you, David.
No problem.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you everyone later. This has been Voyager I Talks back.